Saskatchewan summers are often filled with fun outdoor activities such as playing at the playground, cycling, swimming at outdoor pools, going to the lake, and camping. It is important for parents and caregivers to understand how to keep children safe during these activities. This presentation shares information about children's development and what it means for their safety, especially during the summer. Information about common summer-related injuries is included, as well as prevention tips. This presentation was developed by the Child Injury Prevention Program at the Saskatchewan Prevention Institute. The Saskatchewan Prevention Institute is a provincial, non-profit organization that strives to reduce the occurrence of disabling conditions in children. The Saskatchewan Prevention Institute provides information, training, and resources based on current best evidence. The slogan, "Our goal is healthy children," guides the Prevention Institute's work. The Prevention Institute believes that children of all abilities have the right to the best physical, social, and emotional health possible. One of the areas of work of the Prevention Institute is child injury prevention. The Child Injury Prevention Program works to raise awareness of injury risks and best practices to reduce the number of injury-related hospitalizations and deaths in children, as well as decrease the risk of life-altering injury. Injuries remain a leading cause of death and disability for children in Canada. Saskatchewan has a particularly high rate of child injury. Taking preventative action is important for the health and well-being of all children. A lot of children in Saskatchewan get injured every year. Some of these children have to go to hospital. Some experience injuries that will change their life forever. Some children die due to their injuries. Between 2004 and 2013, there were an average of 69 injury-related deaths of Saskatchewan children and youth under the age of 20 each year. For every Saskatchewan child that died due to injury, approximately 24 children were hospitalized. This means that there were 1,657 injury-related hospitalizations on average each year. This number does not include the children that were seen in minor emergency, doctor's offices, or were treated at home for injuries. These numbers only reflect those that were admitted to the hospital. This means the number of children injured is actually much larger. It is important to remember that the vast majority of injuries are predictable and preventable. To be effective at injury prevention, we need to recognize that many injuries are avoidable and we can take action to keep children safe. Focusing on the prevention of injuries is an important way to reduce child hospitalizations and deaths. When thinking about injury prevention, we must consider how injuries occur, under what conditions they happen, and who is at risk. What is an injury? An injury is damage to the body. It may be visible, like a burn from a fire, or it may be invisible, like a concussion from a fall off of a bike. Injuries can be unintentional or intentional. An example of an unintentional injury is when a child falls off his bike. Intentional injuries result from a deliberate act of harm to oneself or another, such as suicide, assault, and child abuse or neglect. Injuries can happen to anyone, in any setting, and at all times of the year. This current presentation is focused on injuries that are more common during the summer in Saskatchewan. For more information on child and youth injury in Saskatchewan, view the Child and Youth Injury in Saskatchewan 2004 to 2013 summary at skprevention.ca. Type 4-009 in the search bar For the full report, type 4-007 in the search bar. Summer is a great time for exploring and playing. How can parents prevent injuries while letting children learn and grow through play? One way is to understand the difference between hazard and risk. A hazard is a danger in the environment that could seriously injure a child and is beyond the child's ability to recognize. A risk is a challenge or uncertainty in the environment that the child can recognize and learn to manage by setting her own limits and building her own skills. Play should take place in a space where adults manage any hazards, but children manage the risks or challenges. The picture on the left of the broken slide is an example of a hazard. Allowing a child to slide on the slide shown in this image could cause serious harm. For example, this broken slide could lead to a cut that could become infected and lead to a hospital stay. The picture on the right of the slide park is an example of risk. It provides children with an opportunity to explore varying heights, speeds, slopes, and materials while setting their own limits and boundaries. Related to the idea of hazards and risks is the idea of active play, also known as risky play. Risky play is play that allows children to test their limits in order to learn new skills. Examples of risky play include play at heights, play at speed, and play with potentially dangerous tools, play near elements like water and fire, and rough and tumble play. In this image, a child is playing in an area with height and natural elements. Research shows that risky play helps children learn how to make decisions, navigate risks, and avoid injuries. Children need to learn about and test their own limits in order to develop new skills. Each child has differing abilities, and their abilities and perception of risk will change as they develop. This short video features Dr. Mariana Brusoni talking about why kids need risk, fear, and excitement in play. This video was accessed from YouTube.
8:23, Dr. Mariana Brusoni joins us this morning to talk about risky play. What is it and why should our kids be participating in risky play? Let's start off with, let's imagine there's a parent watching, or maybe it's me, and I want to keep my son kind of under my armpit. Why should we let them participate in risky activity?
Well, the research is really building in terms of the importance of risky play for kids. So, you know, even for yourself and for most people of our generation, you can probably imagine what play was like for you as a child. You know, a lot of adults talk about just being left to go outside on their own and wander the woods or wherever they wanted to do until the streetlights came on. And if you think about the play that you engaged in, all the stuff you got out of that play, so figuring out for yourself what you wanted to do and how you were going to achieve your goals, figuring out how the neighborhood worked, who lived where, feeling confident and independent, and resilience. And so the research is backing that up, right? That those kinds of activities really have a positive effect on children's development and well-being, their sense of accomplishment, lower anxiety and depression levels, and those sorts of things.
So when I was a kid in the 80s and I said to my mom after breakfast, bye, I'm going to play store in the woods with the pussy willows all day.
Yeah.
I mean, we just called it play. When did this risky play term come into play?
Yeah, and it's really, I think 2009 is when it first appeared in the academic literature. And it's a term, we didn't need a word for it before because it was just things that kids did and nobody thought to limit them. But we found that over time, kids were being allowed to do less and less and less of it with parents and other caregivers kind of swooping into, not so high, you know, watch out. And so we had to come up with a term in order to figure out what happens when kids don't experience it.
So I know some moms personally, and I imagine there's some moms watching right now, maybe some dads, aunties, grandmas, and they do do have that instinct to keep their kids close.
Yeah.
Let's maybe give some examples right now of the benefits of risky play, and maybe that'll plant a seed, letting the kids go a little bit further this long weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, even if you think about it, you know, like think about it from the child's perspective. Let's say you're at the playground and your child is trying to, say, climb a little higher than you're comfortable with. For them, they're thinking about, okay, how do I move my body? How does the world work? They're figuring all that out for themselves. Let's say you come and swoop in and say, no, get down, stop. So what they're learning is that somebody else needs to decide for them what's safe, that they can't figure that out for themselves. That may affect their self-confidence. And they also get to think that the world is a scary place and dangerous place.
I'm overwhelmed with guilt right now because a couple weeks ago I was in Steveston with my kids and there's this climbing tree down by the docks, and I did do that. Oz, please get down, dude, you're way too high. And you know what he did? He ignored me and kept climbing. So I think maybe I'm doing something right other than that. Can we talk about how a parent or a child care provider can deal with their fear over letting the kids go?
Yeah, so we've developed a tool at outsideplay.ca because it's hard. We want to do the best for our kids. It's hard to let go of these fears. And so the tool takes parents and anybody else who goes on it through a series of kind of self-reflection. You know, how do I actually approach this, and does it make the most sense for me? And gets them to a point where they can make a very simple goal that they can then implement and kind of build on. It could be something as simple as, you know, the situation where your son was climbing a tree. You know what, next time I'm going to count to 30 before I say anything.
Nice one.
Yeah, something as simple as that. So then you can just watch it play out for yourself and see how capable your child actually is.
Let's flip it around then. What if you've got a really hippy-dippy parent who's just, do whatever, buddy, yeah, that's it. So then you've got this child that has an innate sense of fear about risky play. How can you encourage them to participate?
Well, so the point is not to push kids. So the really important aspect of risky play is that it's in the eye of the child doing it, right? So it's not for you or me to decide what's risky for that child. And so a child, you know, kids, you can see it in the playground. Some kids are shooting straight up to the top of that climber. And some kids are like, you know what, I'm okay down here. And that's up to them. It's up to them to decide. So really, we want to give them the space. And for parents, it's like, it's not about either pushing them or stopping them, but supporting those kids in the decisions that they want to make.
And I think the benefits as well, I know I've read some of your work, and there's so many benefits like mental health and physical prowess, right?
Yeah, and physical activity, right? So kids get more engaged. They actually want to go outside to play because it's fun, right? Not stay home inside or on screens or those sorts of things.
As Dr. Bersoni stated in the video, active outdoor play is important for children's physical, mental, and emotional development. Summer is a great time to be playing outside and exploring. Look at what the children in this image are doing. Although there is risk in this environment, these children will learn a great deal through this type of play. For example, these children will learn how fast or slow they can move over the rocks. They will learn how large or small of steps they need to take to get over the rocks. They will learn balance, coordination, and about distance between steps. They will learn about the surface. Is it slippery? The chance of injury is small in comparison to the things they will learn while having fun. OutsidePlay.ca is a great website for parents to learn more about risk and play. Children can learn to reduce their risk of injury as they develop and learn to set their own limits. Caregivers can help with this by helping children increase their own awareness and their ability to problem solve. When a child is outside playing, have you heard an adult say, "Be careful, get down, that's too high," or "Don't do that"? Although the caregiver wants to keep the child safe, these phrases do not help children to identify risks or to problem solve for themselves. This slide has examples of what can be said instead of "be careful" to help prevent a fall. For example, if children are outside and wanting to climb a tree, the caregiver can ask, "Is that branch strong enough to hold you?" As they are moving over a rocky area, the caregiver can ask, "Do the rocks feel stable?" If they are climbing a large hill, the caregiver can ask if they are feeling scared or excited to help them identify their limits. The perception of risk will be different for each child and will change as the child develops and grows. Caregivers need to learn their child's level of ability and support the child to take on increasing challenges to help him master skills. While it is important for children to engage in active play, where they are able to learn about their own limits, it is also important that caregivers are there to supervise the children. This is particularly true for young children who are less able to identify hazards and risks in their play environments. Injuries often happen when caregivers are not directly supervising young children. Direct supervision means that a caregiver is within arm's reach and is watching what the child is doing. The younger and/or more impulsive the child, the more important it is to stay within reach of the child so the caregiver can move quickly to stop behaviors that might result in an injury. Caregivers who are attuned to their children's skills and abilities will know when it is safe to give more freedom. A child who is 3 requires very different supervision than a child who is 8. Supervision can change depending on the child's developmental stage and his individual needs. Effective supervision means the right combination of physical closeness to the child and attention to what the child is doing. Summer in Saskatchewan is filled with fun outdoor activities. Unfortunately, some of these activities pose a risk for injuries. The remainder of this presentation will focus on some of these activities, including how to help prevent serious injuries in children. Summer is a great time for playgrounds, as there is an opportunity to play and interact with other children. Playgrounds also allow children to take risks, to try new things, and develop new skills. Playgrounds do pose a risk for injury, however. Between 2004 and 2013, in Saskatchewan, playground-related falls were the second leading cause of injury-related hospitalizations for children under 10 years of age. A total of 879 children were hospitalized due to a playground fall in this time period. 80% of these children were between the ages of 5 and 9. When the type of playground equipment was reported, the most common types of playground equipment that children fell on or from were trampolines, monkey bars, and slides. Children between the ages of 5 and 9 like to explore, are curious, and are constantly developing new abilities. This puts them at an increased risk for a fall, especially if they are not being supervised. As with all child-related injuries, active adult supervision is the most important method of injury prevention. Caregivers should stay beside their child as he learns to climb and play on a structure until the caregiver is sure of the child's abilities. Other playground safety tips include checking that the equipment is the right size for the child to play on. If the child cannot climb on the structure herself, it is a sign that the equipment is not the right size. Children under the age of 5 should not play on surfaces higher than 5 feet off the ground. Surfaces around playgrounds should be soft. For example, pea gravel, sand, wood chips, or shredded rubber should be used. Use safety equipment. Equipment above the ground should have handrails and guardrails. Teach your child to use safe play habits, including taking turns, not pushing other children, going feet first down the slide, sitting while on swings and slides, and looking before jumping. As noted in the slide on playground falls, the most common type of playground equipment that children fell on or from was trampolines. Jumping on a trampoline may seem like a fun and easy way to get exercise. However, trampoline-related injuries can be serious, particularly when they involve injuries to the head and neck. Before allowing children to use a trampoline, Parents should understand the risks and should teach children about trampoline safety. Trampoline-related injuries can include head and neck injuries, internal organ injuries, dislocations and broken bones, sprains and strains, cuts and bruises. Trampoline-related injuries can be prevented. Although children can be seriously injured by falling off a trampoline, many children are injured on the trampoline itself by attempting tricks or flips, landing hard or badly, landing on the springs or trampoline frame, colliding with or landing on another jumper, being double bounced. Example, where energy from one jumper is transferred to another jumper, putting more pressure and force on that jumper. If children are going to use a trampoline, caregivers can help keep them safer by following these tips. Do not allow children under the age of 6 to use a trampoline. They are at an increased risk of injury due to their lack of coordination and balance, lower muscular strength, and lower bone density. Allow only one jumper on the trampoline at a time. This prevents injuries from collisions, double bouncing, and landing on another person. Supervise children whenever they are using the trampoline to ensure they are using it as safely as possible. Do not allow children to do somersaults, tricks, or flips. Stunts can lead to very serious head, neck, and spine injuries. Do not allow children to jump onto a trampoline from another place. For more information on trampoline safety, visit the Saskatchewan Prevention Institute website. Summer is a great time to ride a bike, but again, there is a chance of injury associated with riding a bike. Between 2004 and 2013, in Saskatchewan, 204 children between the ages of 1 and 9 years were hospitalized due to cycling-related injuries. The children most likely to be hospitalized due to cycling-related injuries were males between the ages of 5 and 9. The majority of these hospitalizations were non-traffic related and included falling off a bicycle or striking a stationary object. Injuries that were related to traffic included being struck by a motor vehicle. The majority of hospitalizations were due to upper and lower extremity fractures, followed by traumatic brain injuries, example, concussions and internal head injuries. Learning to ride a bicycle is a complex skill. Children will be awkward when they are first learning to ride, and it is likely that they will have some falls. Scrapes and bruises are part of learning how to ride a bike. It is important to focus on preventing serious head and neck injuries, which can have lifelong impacts. It is vital that children are taught the skills required to ride a bike and wear a properly fitted, approved helmet for every ride. Young children should always cycle with an older adult or older child, particularly when cycling in traffic. Children are not just small adults. They are physically smaller. This makes them less likely to be seen by a person in a vehicle. Children are continually developing physically and mentally and are more vulnerable near traffic. They may have difficulty determining the direction of sounds, poorer peripheral vision, and they may be more distracted. Balance, strength, and coordination are necessary to safely ride a bike. Children grow rapidly in spurts and often do not have accurate awareness of their body size, abilities, and limitations. This can increase their risk of falling while on a bike. Their developing motor skills also reduce their ability to avoid obstacles, example, potholes, pedestrians, or other cyclists. While children are learning to ride, it is a good idea to practice on a soft surface away from traffic and other hazards. In order to cycle safely in traffic, children must be able to balance their bike, signal, and pay attention to traffic all at the same time. This combination of physical and cognitive skills takes practice and develops gradually between the ages of 10 and 14. For more information, download the Bicycle Safety for Children and Parents booklet on the Saskatchewan Prevention Institute website. It is resource 4-203. It is important that both caregivers and their children wear a bike helmet every time they ride a bicycle. Adults are role models for children. When children see their caregivers taking safety seriously, they will too. Use the 2v1 rule to make sure a helmet fits properly. Place the helmet on your head or the child's head. Place 2 fingers above the eyebrows. The helmet should touch your top finger. Adjust as necessary. Straps should form a V around the ears. You should be able to place only 1 finger between the strap and the chin. Abby will demonstrate how to properly fit your helmet. For more information on helmets, download the booklet, Got a Brain, Get a Helmet, at the Saskatchewan Prevention Institute website. It is resource 4-220. This video can also be found on the Saskatchewan Prevention Institute Facebook page. Another tip to prevent cycling-related injuries is to teach children safe cycling skills, including the rules of the road. The rules of the road include hand signals for stopping and turning. To signal a left turn, stick your left arm straight out. To signal a right turn, make an L shape with your left arm. To signal a stop, make a 90-degree upside-down L shape with your left arm. Hold on to the handlebar with your right hand. Other rules to teach children include obeying traffic signs, riding single file on the right, riding in the same direction as traffic, and making themselves visible, wearing brightly colored clothing, using bicycle reflectors and lights. In summer, families tend to spend time in the water, including swimming pools, paddling pools, and lakes. Children should have the opportunity to play in water, as it is a great way to beat the heat. Although drowning is not a leading cause of death or injury in Saskatchewan, it is important to understand the prevention tips because of the seriousness of the outcome when such an injury does occur. Adults must be aware of how drowning injuries occur and take action to prevent a drowning. Young children under 3 years old can drown in less than 5 centimeters or 2 inches of water. This means that young children can drown in a backyard pool, bathtub, large puddle, rain barrel, pond, lake, public swimming pool, creek, river, or any other body of water. Young children are not able to understand the danger of water. Children see water as fun. It is important that caregivers are directly supervising children whenever they are around open water. A good rule to remember is to be within an arm's reach. It is also important to know that drowning can happen in seconds. Children drown quickly and quietly. Contrary to popular belief, children do not yell and call out for help when they are drowning. Whenever children are in water, caregivers should be watching closely, should be physically close to the water, and should not be distracted by things like cell phones. This video shows what a drowning really looks like. Other drowning prevention tips include teaching safety skills. Teach children not to play near open water without a caregiver present. Enrolling children in swimming lessons can help ensure that they are comfortable and skilled in and around water. Teach children to tread water, swim with a buddy, and to not enter water without an adult nearby. Paying attention. While children are outside, actively supervise. This means that children under 5 should be within an arm's length of an adult. Older children also need supervision. Take turns being the adult responsible for supervision when children are in or around water. Thinking ahead. Do not leave young children alone to play in the yard. Cover hazards like water barrels and paddling pools and place fencing around swimming pools. Another way to help prevent drowning is to ensure that children are wearing life jackets or personal flotation devices, also called PFDs, when they are taking part in water activities like boating, canoeing, and kayaking. Life jackets and PFDs are also important for children while swimming, particularly if they are not strong swimmers. Remember that active adult supervision is still extremely important, even if a child is wearing a life jacket or PFD. What is the difference between a life jacket and a PFD? A life jacket holds a child upright. It can turn the child over from face down to face up. A PFD will keep a person floating, but not necessarily face up. A PFD is lighter and less bulky than a life jacket. Life jackets and PFDs must fit snugly and must be buckled up to prevent the child from slipping out. Remember that inflatable toys such as water wings and blow-up rings are not safety devices. Extreme heat during Saskatchewan summers can cause a heat-related illness. Heat stroke or heat exhaustion can happen quickly, and children are at risk because they easily lose body fluid and become dehydrated. Heat stroke and heat exhaustion are the two conditions that fall into the category of hyperthermia. Hyperthermia happens when the body cannot handle extreme heat or when people have been overactive in heat. The symptoms of hyperthermia include headache, red and hot skin, nausea, weakness, dizziness, fatigue, leg or stomach cramps, cool, moist skin. Extreme heat can make existing illnesses worse. Children can go into shock quickly from heat. Extreme heat affects infants and young children quickly because of their physical size. Babies and young children sweat less, reducing their body's ability to cool down. Young children are not able to tell an adult that they are hot and don't feel well. This makes it important for adults to recognize the signs quickly. Heat exhaustion can be fatal. Prevention tips include teaching children to always drink plenty of fluids before and during any activity in hot, sunny weather, even if they aren't thirsty. Making sure children wear light-colored, loose clothing in warm weather. Having children participate in indoor activities during the hottest hours of the day, and avoiding heavy activity outdoors during these hours. Teaching kids to come indoors immediately whenever they feel overheated. If they are too young to understand, bring them indoors. Wearing a hat. If possible, choose one with a wide brim or one that covers the neck and forehead. Planning activities for cooler times during the day and finding shady areas on hot days. Wearing sunscreen, and never leaving children alone in vehicles. If a child begins to show any symptoms of hyperthermia, take them inside to a cool location, preferably with air conditioning. If such a place is not available, take them into the shade. Get them to lie down and elevate their feet slightly. If possible, give them a cool bath. Get them to drink water. If symptoms get worse or the child starts vomiting, turn her onto her side to prevent choking and get medical help. Children left alone in vehicles during hot weather can become ill or die. The temperature inside the vehicle rises to a deadly temperature in a very short period of time, even on cloudy days, even if the windows are left open. When the outside temperature is 34 degrees Celsius, the temperature inside a vehicle can reach 52 degrees Celsius in 10 to 20 minutes. Heat-related vehicle deaths happen because a driver forgets that the child was in the car. Parents and caregivers often believe this will never happen to me, but it can happen to anyone. Children are curious and like to pretend they are driving. If children find a way into the car, they can become locked inside and may be unable to open the door. A person intentionally leaves a child alone in a car. Someone might think, "I'll be gone for just a minute." However, vehicles reach deadly temperatures very quickly. Prevention tips include the following. Never leave children alone in a car. Take them with you into the store and create a learning opportunity. Have them help you find the item you are looking for. Choose an alternative. If you are getting gas, pay at the pump. It is not okay to leave a child in a vehicle with the vehicle running and the air conditioning on, as this increases the risk of the vehicle being stolen. Look before you lock. Always check the back seat when you turn off your vehicle. Create a reminder system that works for you. Put your wallet, phone, purse, or bag in the back seat, or place a favorite stuffed animal on the front seat to remind you to look in the back seat. Keep vehicle doors locked and keys away from children so they cannot get into the vehicle and become trapped. Make an agreement with your child care provider that they will call immediately if your child is not in their care at the regular time. If you see a child alone in a vehicle, call 911 immediately. If the child appears to be in distress, break the vehicle window to remove the child. Between 2004 and 2013, 191 children under the age of 10 were hospitalized due to fire and burn-related injuries. The children most likely to be hospitalized due to fire and burn-related injuries were those between the ages of 1 and 4 years. The most common cause of fire and burn-related hospitalizations for children under the age of 5 was burns from hot liquids. Children aged 5 to 9 years were more often hospitalized due to injuries from fire and flames. Burns and scalds are very painful and may leave permanent scarring and a loss of function. These injuries can also require long hospital stays and extensive medical care. These injuries can be a result of fire or flame from candles, lighters, barbecues, fire pits, fireplaces, hot appliances such as kettles, toasters, or curling irons, and hot liquids such as a bottle of milk, bath water, or a hot beverage such as tea. In the summer, families are frequently cooking outside, so this makes burns more likely. Also, children are curious and like to imitate the actions of adults. They may try to use the barbecue or the fire pit. Tips for preventing these burn-related injuries include the following. Teach children to stay away from the barbecue or fire pit and not to play around them. Always supervise children when a barbecue or fire pit is being used. Teach children not to play with matches or lighters. Keep matches and lighters out of reach of children. For many children, summer is filled with fun activities and outdoor play. Actively supervising children and following the prevention tips shared in this presentation can help to ensure that their summer is free of serious injuries. If you require further information on any of the topics covered in this presentation, please visit the Saskatchewan Prevention Institute website or contact the Child Injury Prevention Coordinator. Find more prevention tips on the Saskatchewan Prevention Institute Facebook page.